everybody, and welcome to my channel. Today I thought we would do a little bit of an experiment involving cuttings from plants and replanting them using root hormone. So let me explain some of the materials that I'm going to be using in this experiment. First of all, I have two pots here. You can see these. I have filled these with Miracle-Gro indoor potting soil. I will leave a link to the exact soil in the description of this video. Second, I have root hormone over here. The brand is Dragon, and it's called Root Tone, simply. It's a very old bottle, but it has actually been successful in other examples. I have a spray bottle of just simple water right here. You can also see I have my trimmers, and those will become useful later when I show you how to take a small cutting from a different plant. And then, of course, we have right here, I'll give you a little bit of a close-up. This came from a cayenne plant that I have, and I have grown that hydroponically, in fact. You can still see that I have one little flower on there, and we will be planting that one in this pot and planting a different plant, or a different cutting of a different plant, in this pot. So let's get started. Just remember, this is in fact an experiment, so I really don't know exactly what the results are going to be, but I will show you those results at the end of this video. First of all, we're going to take our handy little spray bottle here, and we're just going to wet the soil up at the top. And this prevents it from becoming waterlogged and collecting a lot at the bottom. You can see that we have a little saucer here to collect excess moisture, but that won't be a problem if we are just spritzing the top and getting it nice and moist. Put that aside. Next, we're going to take our root hormone here. You can see it's Dragon Root Tone. And I'm just going to unscrew that bottle for the moment, but we're going to come back to that in a second. Next, let's take our cayenne cutting here and just dip that, kind of spread the leaves apart a little bit here, and just dip that here in a container of water, which I should have mentioned up at the beginning of the video. But we're just going to kind of dip the tip of the stem where it had been cut in some water, kind of shake off the excess. Now, using our root tone right here, we're going to dip it into the root tone. See, just kind of coat it nicely. And you can see it's got some of the white powder on there, the root tone. Next, I'm going to move the camera up just a tad, focus on the pot. Now, we're just going to go ahead and stick that right down in the soil. I have pushed it down in there maybe 1/4 of an inch. Just kind of get a feel for it. Put a little bit of dirt onto the sides. Just keep it firm. Make sure it's just really in there. And that is all for this cayenne plant. So now let's get a little more involved with a different plant. Okay, so I know that this is not exactly the best view. You do have the gardening tent right here, kind of obscuring a little bit of the view, but that's not exactly important at the moment because I'm going to show you my sage plants here, and we're going to be taking just a very small cutting. This is actually the first time I have ever trimmed these sage plants. I have preferred to let them grow naturally and just sort of see what the course of their growth really is, mostly uninhibited by any sort of artificial action other than just watering and lighting and etc. You get the point. So I'm going to be taking just this small cutting right here. Hopefully you can see. We've got our shears. And we're just going to get that right there. And it fell. I should have caught that. But now you can see we have this cutting from sage. I'm going to trim off this dead leaf here. So now we've got a little bit of a healthier sample. Cool thing about sage, by the way, I've learned this. Just take a leaf between your fingers, rub it, and then smell your fingers, or your index finger and thumb. The oils of the sage will get on your hands, and it smells wonderful. There is a reason why sage is known as cook's mint. Very good in recipes involving pork and chicken. So now let's plop this into some root hormone and put it in some soil. Okay, so we are simply going to repeat the process that we did with our cayenne plant. So I'm going to take our spray bottle here. Like I said, just wet the soil. Be careful not to spritz it too hard because that will spray little particles of dirt out of the pot, and we don't want that on your carpet, although I do have some paper towel down, as you can see, to somewhat protect the carpet. Now we are going to take our cutting of sage right here. Just dip it in some water like this, and it's just simple water, no added ingredients, no fertilizers, nothing like that. Get that nice and wet, knock off some excess. Now, with our root tone, we're just going to dip that in, get that nice and coated. And now you can see it's very well coated. And now, plop it right down into the soil. I'm going down to about 1/2 inch since the stem is just a tad bit more lengthy than the cayenne was. Kind of get the dirt up around there. And we are done. So now that we have our two cuttings, our cayenne cutting and our sage cutting, it's time to find a good spot with ideal temperature and lighting for both of them to flourish and take root. So I'm going to be putting the cayenne cutting up here with another cayenne plant, which, as you can see, has actually already sprouted. And then I'm going to be putting our sage cutting, that would be this one, over here with all the other sage plants. Now, the temperature is about 68.5 degrees Fahrenheit. I just dropped 0.2 degrees, but we also have 48% humidity. That is a little bit dry, and so it is ideal to keep the plants watered. You can see a little bit of my other foliage here. Not all of it is mine, but we are going to be placing these in the ideal spots I have already mentioned. Another little important thing that I forgot to mention that is more good for you just to keep track of your plants and to kind of get an idea of the time frame in which things grew, if they failed, maybe not why they failed, but just sort of keeping an idea of the time frame, is to label them. So I have these neat little little labels that go into the soil. Just use a simple Sharpie marker, and we have the sign for our cayenne cutting, and we have the sign for our sage cutting. Today is obviously December 8th, 2022. So let's plop these into the soil of the plants, and then we are good to go. And there you have it, guys. That is my experiment on taking little root cuttings, or rather little cuttings from plants, dipping them in some root hormone, and plopping them in the soil. If this experiment works well, here are the materials you need. Some trimmers, just to take your cutting. Some water to spritz on the soil that you have in a pot right back here. And then just some water. This obviously isn't filled, but you just need some water to dip the cutting in. And putting it in the soil, hopefully, will make it sprout anew. So I will update you in about 6 weeks, and we will see how this works. Alright, everybody, the results are in, and as you can see, I'm going to pull this aside here, kind of get up in here a little bit. As you can see, our cayenne clipping with the root hormone is toast. That did not take to the soil at all. That has been very dilapidated for a while. But, good news, get over here. Our sage clipping is doing just fine. This is not decayed at all. It looked a little wilty for a little while, but it has, I think, grown. It definitely hasn't turned brown, hasn't wilted any more past that little bit that it had kind of at the start. And it might even have some new leaves on it. So maybe it'll be like its original parent plant. sometime soon. So we can say that this experiment with the root hormone, which is, of course, right here again, the root tone, however you want to pronounce it, it was a success. We learned a lot from it. We learned that some plants don't take well to it, like the cayenne clipping here, but the sage clipping, move that again, our sage clipping did just fine. And I will hopefully keep you updated on it. And by the way, just maintenance of these things ever since the first recording. I just kept things watered. I kept it in its environment with the lights, which I just blinded you all with. Sorry about that. Keeping the temperature and the humidity at a good level. So we can say that we learned that sage will take to root hormone, but cayenne will not. Thank you everybody for watching. If you like what you see as I continue to move around awkwardly, like what you see, like the video, share it with friends, duplicate the experiment for yourself, subscribe to the channel, and everybody, this is the Philosoph Farmer, where we talk about philosophy, gardening, and Minecraft. Have a great day.